All right, guys, let's turn our attention to the Premier League predictions. And there's some great games ahead for this weekend. Um, there are lots of teams that will be looking to bounce back from what was a disappointing weekend. Arsenal and Man City fans will be hoping that that wasn't a sign of things to come. But the weekend starts off with Crystal Palace, who will be playing host to Fulham. And then you've got West Ham, who would be hosting Everton. Everton seeming to be back on track with their season. Wolverhampton plays Southampton, and what an incredible win by Southampton in the last weekend. Brentford play Bournemouth. Brighton will play host to Man City. Man City goes away from home to another difficult away team. The big game, Liverpool versus Aston Villa. On Sunday, you've got Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle, new boys to the top three, Nottingham Forest. And then we've got Tottenham entertaining Ipswich, coming off an incredible win last weekend. Manchester United, their last game before their new manager, comes in, will be entertaining Leicester at Old Trafford. And of course, not London Derby. Well, no, not London Derby, but a London Derby with Chelsea playing against Arsenal. We'll start our predictions with Liverpool versus Aston Villa. And Femi, I'm going to start with you on this one. We've talked about Liverpool earlier on in the conversation, and we asked the question whether Liverpool are the real deal. So I'm going to ask you that question as well, but I'll also ask you, how do you see this game going? Aston Villa have been pretty good this season, and they're also a team that is high on confidence. So first of all, is Liverpool the real deal? And how do you see this game going?
Well, to be fair, Liverpool are looking like the real deal. We talked about Spurs, how they started off like a house on fire last season when their manager first came along, Angie, and it was all Angie ball everywhere in the media. But also you've got to kind of like look at Liverpool and say, Spurs started to fall away because they had injuries, to be fair. Madison started to go off. That if they had kept their players fit, maybe it would have been a totally different outcome for them. But Liverpool this season, some way, somehow, have been able to keep all of their players fit. And when I say all, I mean, it's very difficult to look at that Liverpool team and say, okay, who is out of the team that can have a direct impact on how they play? And since the start of the season, it's really, really very difficult. So the core of their team has been really, really very much alive. And the manager never came and made all these kind of changes that most managers will make when they start in a new job. He kept that core of the team, wanted to add a player to it, didn't work. Then he got Chiesa and added him. So I'm thinking personally that even if Zubimendi had come in from Sociedad or wherever it was coming from in the summer, what would he have really done to this Liverpool side? I'm not sure he could have improved them any better than they had. They're top of the Premier League, they're top in Europe as well. So you can't do so well in Europe, do so well in the Premier League. Afterwards, combined, if I look at the number of games they've had in the Premier League, they played 10 games in the Premier League. In Europe, they played 4 games. That's 14 games. 14 games is a lot of games for you to judge a team. And I think they are looking like the real deal. And they will not go away. That's guaranteed. Especially with the fact that they're keeping the best players fit. Things are working out for them. So if you then look at Aston Villa are a well-coached team. That's one thing you've got to look at them. It's actually Emery's second year anniversary as Aston Villa manager, would you believe? They were in the bottom rungs of the Premier League when he came in, with Gerrard not really inspiring anybody. They were up and down everywhere, and everybody knew they were relegation candidates almost. And in 2 years, it's won them 3 Champions League games in a row, and then they've gone on to Bruges as well and showed exactly what they can do as a top team. You can then see in the Premier League, maybe they're not in the top 4 because of their last result against Spurs when he played his 2 strikers together and they opened up that midfield, and all 3 goals in the second half came from just balls into the midfield that there were no players in. He went and played John Duran and Ollie Watkins. I don't think he would make that mistake again. I don't think he's going to do that experiment anymore. So overall, you can look at Aston Villa being a solid team as well. So if I'm going to look at the 2 teams, I think Liverpool would have their work cut out, because we've seen Liverpool lose to Aston to Forest at home. We've also seen Brighton almost get a result there. So I think Liverpool would have problems with Aston Villa. But are they the real deal? A simple yes. And will Aston Villa trouble them? Yes, Aston Villa have a great manager. They're a well-coached team. They've got a great squad. I think it's going to be an exciting game.
What's the score prediction?
Well, for me, I think it's sometimes you look at the home team and you say, because they're the home team, what can they do? So I think maybe Liverpool would not be able to win, but I don't expect them to lose. Eddie, I'll probably say 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Face Aston Villa go to Liverpool with probably the leakiest defense right now among the top teams. How do you see this game going?
Eddie, Aston Villa is really, really doing well. Let me give you, if we can break down some of the statistics so that you get a better perspective of where I'm coming from. They've played 14 games in all competition this season, and they've played 7 away games. Now, in that 7 away games, Aston Villa has won 5 of them, and they won convincingly. Winning the likes of, I think, Fulham and a whole lot of good teams they've played away. They've drawn 1 away. They've lost 1, which is the one they did, Femi just talked about against Spurs. So that tells you something. Away, they actually play well. Also, I also want to give you a brief of history, like I always do, so that you have a perspective of where these 2 teams are coming from. These are 2 old teams, has been around forever. So these 2 teams, their fixtures actually rich with a whole lot of historical significance in English football, and it's dating back from their first league meeting, which was in the late 19th century. So the first time they met was in October 7, 1894, and Liverpool won that game at Villa Park 3-1. But since then, they've met well over 200 times across all competition, and this makes it really one of the oldest fixtures in English football. Now, also, if you want to come at their last 5 meetings, which I always use as a perspective also in looking at the current form where these 2 guys are, Liverpool has won 3 times. Villa has not won in the last 5 meetings they've had with Liverpool, and they've drawn 2 times. Now, also, if you put in consideration the bookmakers, where they are looking at this match in terms of their form, where they are, and every other thing, the bookmakers are giving Liverpool 65% chance of winning this match, and Villa 16% with a draw of 19%. Now, back to the match itself. We've said Liverpool, the 2 big sides basically they've met, like you guys are at your discount, Man U, is probably the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal they played. And we know at this point they're playing the best of football. The defense is very solid, and everybody's firing on all cylinders. Salah is in good form, playing very well. Gravenberch is blocking most of those things, doing very well in DM position. I see an evenly I see a contest that at the end of the day we even itself out. So for me, I'll play safe here. I think I will go for draw. I will not follow what the bookmakers are, insinuating here. For me, I think this match will end. It will be an interesting draw, and I see a 1-1 draw in this.
I think Liverpool is going to win this game. I think over the season they've shown they're just the best defense right now in the league. They don't concede a lot of goals, and they've got weapons up front. And Aston Villa concede goals. That's the only thing I can look at this. They concede goals, consider a lot of goals this season, already considered 15 goals in the Premier League. And you're going to a team, that don't necessarily concede goals. So for me, I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory for Aston Villa in this game. Right. Okay. Let's turn our attention to
For Aston Villa or for Liverpool, Eddie.
no, Liverpool. 2-0. 2-0 to
Okay.
Liverpool.
Okay,
2-0
fair
to
enough.
Liverpool.
Okay.
Right, let's turn our attentions to a top three team, Nottingham Forest, who will be playing Newcastle.
Your
Nottingham,
new fan love.
no, nothing.
Your new fan love.
You've got to give credit, right? You've got to give credit to Nottingham
Who is
Forest.
not giving credit? I
I
saw
mean,
your new fan love. Why are you
I,
explaining?
honestly, guys, let's look at this, right? I'm going to start with you, Faith.
Mm,
Nottingham Forest have started the
yeah,
season like a house on fire, right?
okay.
They've only lost one game, and that game was to Fulham, and it was to a single goal. And if you watch that game, they should have won that game. So actually, they could have been unbeaten in the season right up to now. They've also won Liverpool when they played Liverpool, and they played some tough teams as well. They played Chelsea, also drew there as well. So do you think that Nottingham Forest, this game against Newcastle, because I've got my thoughts about how I think the game is going to go, how do
Mhm.
you see the game going, and who do you think will make the difference in this game? What's your prediction?
Um, like you said, it's always good to give kudos when the team is doing well. Nottingham Forest really, they've been fantastic. You've started well. Um, I am still trying to. They play very good football, compact football. But believe me, the EPL is a marathon. It's not a sprint. At the end of the day, fatigue because of the squad size and for now, I think they are still involved in a whole lot of other competitions and probably the experience at this level. I still believe they will come down. So for me, it's good for them because at the end of the day, they're starting very well now. They could sustain that momentum at the end of the day, get to, an Europa or a Conference League position, which is good, for them in a club of that nature, finishing at that level. Then so that by next season, if they maintain the squad, buy well, retain the coach, then we could be looking at just like what Aston Villa is doing now. At that point, they are more matured. They are used to this level of football. They are more competitive. They have a larger squad, and they are more comfortable competing. But right now, I know how Brighton has done this over the years. If you can point back, you see them start. They are in the top four mix, and at the end of the day, you see them drop to 6, 7, 8 position. I think this is how, at the end of the day, Nottingham Forest, that is how it will end. I see them ending up around the 6, 7, 8 position finally, because I know the wear and tear, injuries, and a whole lot of fatigue and stuff will set in, and they will drop a whole lot of points along the way. But kudos to them for how they've started, how they've won some big matches, and how they've done well, across all board. But let me come back to this game. And I always want to start with giving a bit of perspective how these two teams have fared in the past. These are two old teams rich in history, especially in English football, and they've had so many memorable encounters over the years. I think the first time they met was in 1894, so which is around September 15, 1894. Newcastle won 3-2. Since then, they've met each other in different competitions, both from the old division, the Premier League, and the Championship. They've been there, three of them, across these areas. Now, if you're coming back to recent time, I'm using the last 5 matches as a reference point. Newcastle has dominated these fixtures between both of them. Nottingham Forest has only won 1, and Newcastle has won 4, and they've drawn none in the last 5 matches. Now, let's go back to the bookmakers. Based on Nottingham Forest form, the bookmakers are looking at this match as, and they are making it look like an even match. Because from what they projected here, they are projecting Nottingham Forest with 35% to win. They are projecting Newcastle with 37% to win. That shows you the margin of, just a 2% difference. They are looking at this match with a draw of 28%. For me, I also want to look at the current form of Nottingham Forest. I think at the end of the day, I also want to stay with the bookmakers on this. I think this match will end draw, and I see it ending also a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. It seems like draw is your food of choice today.
Yeah.
Femi, how do you see this game going? Nottingham Forest versus Newcastle.
I mean, it's interesting that they met in the second round of the League Cup, didn't they? The two of them. And it was a 1-0 draw back in August. But of course, on penalties, Newcastle won 4-3. So they have history this season already. And I don't think Forest will be very pleased that Newcastle sent them packing from the League Cup. So maybe when they meet again, Forest would have their tails up, looking to revenge. And they said revenge is best served cold, isn't it? Since August, it's very cold now. Newcastle probably won't remember much of it. I never mind the pun. It's not intended. So if they can serve this one hot and fresh as well for Newcastle, I think it'll be quite interesting. But one thing I've looked at with Forest is, if you look at their results in the league, they've not been a team that has blown anybody away. The one team they did blow away, of course, I won't say blew away, but Leicester, they won 3-1 away. Leicester on the night were not bad at all. And we know Leicester have been very good at the King Power. So great result. And Forest have been fantastic away from home, going to Chelsea and drawing, then winning at Leicester, like I said, 3-1. But the one team that they blew away was, of course, West Ham, 3-0. West Ham contributed heavily to that. And we all know West Ham have not been absolutely brilliant this season at all. So if you look at Forest, they went to Southampton, they won 1-0. You would have expected a little more. So they've not been very much like a team on firing on all cylinders. They've just picked their moments in games and they've won. Ola, I know, has been brilliant. And they got Marcel, the French, the guy from, I don't know if he's Belgian or French now, but he's been absolutely brilliant for them, Marcel, as a goalkeeper. The backline has been solid. Ola, I know, the Nigerian, has been also very productive. But going forward is where they found this incredible form. Otin-Odoi has been superb. I think Morgan Gibbs-White has been a revelation for them from last season anyway. But Chris Wood, isn't he the most underrated striker right now in the Premier League? AK just can't stop scoring goals. So overall, like I said, they're not the most expansive of teams, but they're super effective. And the manager has done an incredible job, Espirito Santo. So his Premier League pedigree is something you've got to count on. But having said all of that, I don't think they're too far off from Newcastle. Newcastle are only 4 points behind them. And Newcastle have had injury concerns this season, as you can tell. We all know they've been lean going forward in terms of Isaac, whatever you want to call it. Isaac not being always fit. But when he's fit, he scores goals. They didn't score against Arsenal. A well-taken goal last week. So I think Newcastle will be a very good match for them. So it's not a team that will say, oh, what's going to happen today? Let's just see. Maybe you guys will beat us or whatever. I think Newcastle, just that Forest being at home may be a plus. If Forest were the away team, they've not done bad away from home anyway. I think because they're the home team, it may be a plus for them. And then their confidence is very high. So, Eddie, in a nutshell, I'm going to have to give this one to Forest, honestly. Because they're the home team, they're very, very compact. They don't concede a lot of goals. And they've got a striker who can score goals at any time. Yes, Newcastle can do the same thing as well. So I'm not too sure it's going to pan out. I think it may be a 1-1 or a 2-1. If it's 1-1, it's the most likely result because Newcastle should be good on the day. But a 2-1 because they've got Chris Wood, who can actually win the game for them, and they're at home and they're flying. So maybe I'm going to go with a 2-1 Eddie for Nottingham Forest.
So it's early teaser to my fantasy because I just took Haaland out of my team, and I'm going to tell you who I brought into my team this weekend. Listen, right? You can tell where I'm leaning, in this game. Listen, it's all about Forest. Newcastle
Eddie,
haven't
and
won.
just to ask, have you got Sri Lanka in your team?
No, I haven't got Sri Lanka in my team. Yeah, but let's not spoil the fantasy teaser
No,
yet.
no, no, no. I was just wondering because it's Ipswich, and I'm just going to say if you're going to buy a striker and you're taking Ireland out, I'm wondering who it is again. So
All will be revealed. All will be revealed very soon.
no problem.
But let's talk about Forest. I'm very impressed with Forest this season. Newcastle haven't won a game away from home this season, and actually their performance away from home has also been terrible. Um, it was really a surprise what happened, in the last weekend against Arsenal. I don't think anyone was predicting Newcastle to take all 3 points against Arsenal. And full credit to them. They played that game well, and they got the 3 points. But I think this game is going to be very different. I think Nottingham Forest, as long as they have their key players fit and ready to go, they're going to be a problem. Um, they say this thing about defense, and you hear this thing they talk about like defense win championships. And I'm not saying that Nottingham Forest are going to win a title or win a championship or win a cup this season, but there's something about a team when they don't concede a lot of goals. And that brings confidence. People start to enjoy defending. They start to have confidence that they know that they're not conceding goals and they know that they can take chances when they have it. And for me, I think in this game, Chris Hood playing against his old club, I think will be more than incentivized to do the damage for Nottingham Forest. So for me, I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory for Nottingham Forest. I think Isak coming back would help Newcastle. Let's be fair to Newcastle. Isak has only come back in the last 3 games to play, and he has scored in his last 2 games, as well. So I think that he would make a difference. So maybe Newcastle might score a goal, but Forest only concede an average of 1 goal every game this season. So I don't see Newcastle scoring more than one. I think Nottingham Forest are capable of scoring more than a goal. So I think I'm going to go with 2-1. I went for 2-0 initially, but just because of Isak, I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory for Nottingham Forest. All right, guys, let's go to our last game of our prediction, and of course, is the big one, is the London Derby, Chelsea versus Arsenal. Um, two teams who feel like they've not had the rub of the green in their last couple of games. I think Newcastle, Chelsea will feel that they should have had a player sent off by Manchester United in the last game. Again, we're talking about referee decisions, having an impact on game. I'm going to start with you, Face, on this one. Chelsea versus Arsenal. Last season, this game was very one-sided. It was the return of Havertz to Stamford Bridge, and he duly put Chelsea to the squad. Both teams are at very different stages, of the season. Chelsea have everybody in their team plus more that can come in and play for them. Arsenal still struggling with, injuries to key players. Still a doubt whether Odegaard will make that game over the weekend. So, where do you see this game going? Do you think that Chelsea are really going to put Arsenal to the sword?
Um, I don't think so. And I'm not saying this from a place of beef. I know a lot of Chelsea fans watching this with what else will he say? What else will he say? But I am saying this based on historical facts that is with us here. Chelsea has not won Arsenal for a very long time. When I mean a very long time, I'm talking of years here at this point. Now, I always use my reference points for the last 5 matches. But even if we go a bit further, you see that for the past, if not 4 years or thereabout, Chelsea have not been able to beat Arsenal, but in every competition, even in friendlies or wherever we've met. So, yeah, I know this season is different. Arsenal is not in a good place. Arsenal is currently struggling based on injuries and a whole lot of issues they're having. the team is not that settled, and this is the best time for Chelsea to play Arsenal. Notwithstanding, when you have a psychological edge, you remember those years when Mourinho used to beat Arsenal, the Drogbas, even when we play well, we play very fantastic football, we play all the tiki-taka we can. We may even dominate them throughout the whole match, and Drogba will get a chance, and that's it. They will close up and they will win at the end of the day. So those psychological edge, they have a way of playing with you when a team keeps beating you. Even when you play well, you don't play well. But in this case, most times we dominate these games and we win. A reference point to what you were saying, the last time we met them at Stamford Bridge, Havertz I think that was his first introduction, but you can recall that match ended 2-2, and that was the only draw they've gotten in the last 5 matches with us. Aside the draw, Arsenal has been able to beat them 4 times within the last 5 times we've played them. So at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea has been a bit strong. They've been winning games. They've been playing well. They have the crowds behind them. I see this match is going to be a bit tight. I don't think it will be an easy walk for Arsenal. We'll have a walk out, but Chelsea is not. They have a bit of confidence at this point in time. Enzo is beginning to put up a very good young side with, he has a drive, he knows what he wants, and they're playing very good football. His first 11 currently, Caicedo and Lavia in that middle, they are really doing well. And I think they've formed a good partnership. And they at this point, they have a very fantastic midfield that is protecting the goal, the defense at this point in time. So, and the attack also is doing well, Palmer marshalling that attack with Neto from the left and what's this guy's name again? From the right. They seem to have formed a good partnership. Madueke, yeah. They seem to have formed a good partnership, and they're really, really doing well, scoring good goals. I think they have one of the highest, they've scored the highest, if I'm not mistaken, currently. So that gives you an idea that the team is brimming with confidence at this point in time, and it's not going to be a walk in the park for Arsenal at this point in time. But let me also come back to the usual historical perspective when it comes to these two teams. These are two old clubs also. The first time we met was in 1907, second division, Chelsea won 2-1. After then, the rivalry has been very strong, and Arsenal have won more of these encounters over time, and Arsenal has won 83 times, while Chelsea has won 66 times, with 60 draws over time. Now, if you're looking at what the bookmakers are saying in this match, there is also tight. They are looking at Chelsea winning with a 3% votes, and they're giving us now 40% chance of winning this, and a draw of 27%. It gives you an idea. Also, they are looking at how close this match is. But for me, I know it's going to be strong. I know it's going to be tight. I expect fireworks in this match, but I think Arsenal will edge it in this based on that psychological edge, and for the fact that I think some of our players will be coming back a bit. And we are comfortable playing in Stamford Bridge for some years now. So I think we'll edge it. I think this is going to be a 2-1 match. But
all right, 2-1 to the Arsenal. Femi, how do you see this one going?
I'm trying to imagine everything FaZe is saying and see how possible it will be that we will be able to dominate Chelsea, because they've got a basically fully fit squad at the minute in terms of their most important players being there and firing on all cylinders. I mean, Enzo can't even get in the team, like he said, because Romeo Lavia is doing a great job with Caicedo, and Caicedo seems to be scoring goals these days as well. So my focus more is on Chelsea's strengths, I have to be honest, at the minute. And it's very difficult to find a weakness. The goalkeeper is solid, he's tall, he knows the job now. The manager trusts him as well, so he doesn't have that thing hanging around his neck anymore. In fact, he trusted him so much that he allowed Kepa to go out on loan yet again. So when Cucurella is back in the team. They've been playing Gusto at right back, and of course, the club captain at left back, James. So I'm just kind of like wondering where the weakness is that Arsenal can exploit on the day. And there's not many. The one place I think we could win it is in the air. If we can push them back a little bit and get a few corner kicks, maybe we might score from a corner kick because Gabriel will dominate, Havertz will dominate. Last season, like you rightly said, and like Faye said, 2-2 it was, and he scored the first 2 goals. The second one was a fluke, as you can tell. Modric never meant that. But this season, they've really got a very good manager who has just got them playing really well. Now, playing on a Thursday night and a Sunday is always a minus, but a home game against a nobody in Europe, it's not going to make any difference to them as much. So that extra day of rest in terms of Arsenal playing on a Wednesday and a Sunday, they're playing on a Thursday and a Sunday. They're playing away. At home, Arsenal have played the last 2 or 3 games away from home, and we got a run of 4 or 5 games away as well. So when you've had to go and play so many games, especially at Newcastle, at Inter Milan, at Chelsea, that's going to drain your energy. So I'm looking more like everything is really poised for Chelsea, honestly. So it will take a mammoth performance. It was good that Declan Rice didn't have to travel with the team to Milan, but I don't think it's enough. So I'm genuinely concerned that Chelsea may, for once, even though Faisal said they've not lost to Arsenal and they've not won against Arsenal in a long time, I think it may be Chelsea's time. So for once, I'm going to go back to my heart and my head. So my heart wants Arsenal to, and I hope it's a 2-1 or 1-0 victory, maybe a 2-1 more likely. But my head tells me this Chelsea team is very, very streetwise. The manager has replacements on the bench who can do an equally fantastic job. If he's not working with Nicholas Jackson, Nkuku can come in. They've got so many brilliant players all across the pitch. The back line is very good now. West Fofana is fit. And they've got, Levi Colwill, Badiashile, all these guys are not bad players. So I'm slightly concerned about our chances, Eddie. If it goes well for us now, we'll probably win 2-1. If it goes Ori, we'll go and draw or lose. So let me just use my heart because I'm an Arsenal fan and say 2-1. But my head tells me it's going to be a difficult game, Eddie. Sorry.
Listen, I don't think your fears
So take his heart, right, for the prediction.
Take his heart. He says 2-1.
Okay, taking his heart. Yeah.
Listen,
you're not a surgeon on face, but if you want to take my heart, no problem. I don't mind. I'll give you my heart. It's almost Christmas. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
So guys, guys, listen. I think a lot of things that Femi has said are right. Everything is going to depend on how Arsenal arrive to that game, whether they have healthy players or not. So I think every eye will be at the game this week or this night against Inter Milan. How does Arsenal come out of that game? Do we come out unscared? Do we have any more injuries to add to the list? I'm a little bit concerned about Declan Rice, being a little bit injured, and he hasn't been his usual self, this season. Declan Rice has been imperious since he came into Arsenal, but it just feels like he hasn't been performing at that level that we expect him. We don't know if Odegaard is going to be back, for this game. I think everyone is looking at this, that it's unlikely, but again, that might be mind games by Arteta. It might be a case that Odegaard makes a surprise return, and this will be a good game, for him to return, too. I'm with you, Femi. I don't see Arsenal getting out with a win at Stamford Bridge. I know. I just don't think, and for me, the only reason for me is the health. I just don't think that we have the players, the starting 11, but also the bench, to make a difference if things go wrong in that game. Arsenal will have to go into that game and score, very early on in the game, and then trust their defensive organization to take, the 3 points out of it. But Chelsea have got weapons, Cole Palmer, Jackson scoring goals. So for me, I see that game as a draw. I think we are very likely to come up with a 2-2 draw, out of that game, similar to what happened last season. I don't know the order in which the goals will go in, but I think it'll be a 2-2 draw, and I won't be surprised if Arsenal lost that game if they don't go into the game with all their players. I just don't think that Chelsea has too much talent. They have a lot of talent, on the starting 11 and on the bench. Nkuku doesn't even start, right? And when he comes in, he makes a difference. But one thing I do know about this Chelsea team is that if you want to get at them, you want to get at them early. You want to score a couple of goals. And once you do that, they don't seem to find solutions, to solve that problem. So, but if that game is going into the second half and it's still 0-0, and we're in the 50th, 60th minute, I think, I'll be very concerned. But guys, that's our prediction for the weekend. Let us know what you guys think in terms of the outcome of the games. Please put a comment below and let us know who do you think will win the game. Finally, guys, before we go, let's look at fantasy. I was saying to Femi that I don't hear anybody talking about fantasy phase because who's stopping the league right now. Let's not say lots about that. So Femi, I'm gonna start with you. Fantasy, your two players to have, and who do you captain for this weekend?
The captain's issue is going to be quite easy for me. I think Sri Lanka is back in form. He's been really good for Spurs on the ball and off the ball, but he's starting to put the ball in the back of the net. He'll be full of confidence after those 2 goals and an assist against a very good Aston Villa team. And with Ipswich being the team coming to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think is the man you want to captain if you haven't got him, Sri Lanka. I know Eddie is also getting rid of Haaland, and he's trying to get Chris Wood. So I would definitely say for me personally, I'm going to have to advise, if you can, go and get yourself Sri Lanka and captain him. The second one, a bit of a hit and miss. I think Brentford at home to Bournemouth will probably be another opportunity for Bournemouth to show what he can do. He's been absolutely brilliant this season, so he's going to get my nod as the deputy captain, even though Cole Palmer would have been my captain if he was playing any other team at Stamford Bridge. But his Arsenal is not going to be an easy team. So I think I'm going to have to go with asking you to captain the amazing Sri Lanka at the minute. I shouldn't be calling him amazing. He plays for Spurs. But of course, the very elegant and of course crucial goal scorer in Bomo as your backup, as a second player to have Eddie.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Bournemouth are no mugs right now, they're just on the back of 2 incredible victories. So I don't think that's going to be a walk in the park for Brentford. Face, 2 players, fantasy, who do you captain?
I think at this point I am bringing in Salah. Salah has not been in my team forever because he was just too expensive. And
What happened to Haaland? You
you can't
always
have
start with
Haaland.
Haaland.
You can't have a Haaland and a Salah. So, but at this time, I think I'm done with Haaland. Even when he comes back with his heart race and whatever he's scoring, I'll give him some time to rest before I start thinking about him any longer. So I will at this point bring in Salah, and I'm selling off Haaland, and I'm also going to bring Chris Wood. I don't think I'm sold on Solanke for now. He just started scoring. It could be a fluke. We need to see him score consistently for like 3 matches before I could start splashing money on him. But Wood has been consistent since the beginning of the season. 1 goal here, at least he gives you a goal almost in every second game. So for me, that's good enough to have in your team. So I'm bringing in Wood and Salah. And I'll take our captain Salah because I see Salah scoring. He likes scoring in high-profile matches. He's somebody you can depend on when it comes to major matches. He always scores. So I think he will also score in this match.
Yeah, so I think you guys are following my tips, because Because it's, I think a lot of players have been burnt. They've been burnt.
Rishi.
They've been burnt by Haaland. So of course it's time to get Haaland out. So I'm done with Haaland as well. I brought in Salah into my team and of course Chris Wood. But I think the two players that you need to have, you definitely have to go with Chris Wood. He's playing against his old club. He's been scoring for fun. I remember last year when he played against Newcastle, he missed so many chances in that game. I don't know if you guys remember that game. He missed, lots of open chances, and I think he'll be out to make amends to that. So you're gonna have Chris Wood in the team. And listen, when we play a London team, you've got to have Saka. I'm gonna have Saka in my team because Saka always performs either with a goal or with assist. He's a guaranteed. I'm not quite sure if Palmer will be 100%, for that game, but I'm gonna go with Saka, and I will be captaining Chris Wood, for this weekend because I think he's gonna do the business. But that's it. That's it, guys. Really love speaking to you guys. Love having you guys tuning into us. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. So when we upload content, you'll be the first to hear about it. And look out for the reactions after the game. It's usually me, either celebrating or in dismay after an Arsenal, win or defeat. So we'll know which team will be in crisis after this weekend.
We always see you on your match reaction on Arsenal lose. You
So
jump on the match reactions.
we'll see who's in crisis mode after this weekend. But guys, it's been fun. Faze, any final words before we leave?
Nice one, guys. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep supporting us. Go out there and contribute to our predictions. Let's know. Let's give us your predictions and let's have some good discussions on them. Thank you for being there for us. Thank you so much. Peace.
Femi, final words.
Always a pleasure to spend time with you guys and watching the beautiful game, talking about it. And I hope you all have an amazing, amazing weekend. And just keep the love going. And hopefully we continue to do this together for a long, long, long time. So, Eddie, over to you. But everyone have a special weekend, man.
Yeah, that's a wrap, folks. And remember, be safe and whatever you do, have your game on.